It's a popular ice cream flavor in brownie form. I don't think it gets any better than that. It is a dark, fudgy brownie, crunchy caramel toffee, milk chocolate chips, and salty cashews in one decadent dessert. Becky Low has her favorite bear claw brownies here for us. Becky, I am loving this segment so much because as anyone who knows me knows, brownies are my thing. I'm kind of a brownie connoisseur, so I am the perfect woman to grade this. I am so excited. Great. So good. So tell me how you decided to come up with this with the ice cream flavor.
First off, I love the ice cream. Every year at the state fair, the dairy farmers have an ice cream festival, and we just eat and scoop gallons and gallons of ice cream. And my favorite, with all the flavors that are out there, are the bear claw. You know, so it's that caramel, it's that cashew, it's that dark fudgy chocolate.
It's because you got like the crunch of the cashew, you've got this the chewiness of the caramel, and then the chocolate where something to sink your teeth into.
Yes.
I know it, I feel it. So good. Okay, so show me what we do here.
Now in a brownie. So first off, let's talk about the fudgy part of the brownie. You know, sometimes we just destroy brownies by making them too dry, we try to make them healthy. Well, brownies are brownies.
Thank you for that. I'm not putting applesauce in my brownies. I don't want applesauce, I want butter.
No.
Okay.
All right, so just whisk those together. We have a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of white sugar, some cocoa, and I like the Dutch processed cocoa because it's a stronger, more flavor for cocoa.
Oh, really? Okay, Dutch processed cocoa.
Right.
I wouldn't have known
now
that.
To that, in fact, this is going to get really thick, so I'm going to give you the scraper instead.
Perfect.
I like to just whisk it to make sure that I have the baking powder and the salt, you know, mixed up to begin with. 3 eggs. You gotta have that. And like you said, the butter. We're gonna dump in the butter.
Key to existence.
And absolutely, this is what makes it just flavorful. And brownies are probably and vanilla. And brownies are probably one of those easiest recipes that we can actually make. You know, it's just, we can give it to our 10-year-old and they can make it. So you just kind of keep stirring those together.
Other than that question you brought up before about it being fudgy versus when they're kind of fluffy and cakey, which is not my favorite. I don't love the overly dry brownies. They're meant to be gooey, right?
They are.
I think
and not over, I don't like them overly gooey. I like them fudgy, but not
you have the
dripping.
secret to the perfect brownie, and I'm going to cash in on that.
Okay, so now we also want to add those bear claw ingredients with it. And so this is a dark brownie, you know, the dark chocolate with it. And so I contrast it with some milk chocolate chips.
Ooh, love that.
Okay, so I'm going to put that in.
Ooh, and these are big ones. Is there a reason for that, or just
because I like that big. You can use whatever you want with it.
I want to use the big ones.
Cashews, chopped cashews. Okay, we'll stir that in, and then instead of having swirling the caramel into it, which kind of absorbs into the brownie itself, we're using the butter brickle bits. Now, not the toffee, you know, where it has the chocolate on it, but the butter brickle bits. Okay, and we're going to add in half that, just part of it.
So this is the caramel flavor.
Right.
And I know what you're saying, because on occasion when you put marshmallows or other things in brownies, tends to kind of
dissolve. And you just don't have the flavor. So then you think it's not even worth it
if I'm not going to enjoy the crunch of it.
A couple of other things, you know, tips with it. When we're making brownies, many of the pans that we have at home are an 8x8. Okay, so if you're making the 8x8, you are going to be thicker and cake-like rather than nice size. So I like to use a 9x9. You can get a 9x9, and if you only have a 9x13 pan, use heavy foil and block off one end of it.
I never would have thought of that. Are you putting something in on the other side, or you're just kind of folding it?
Well, I like to hold something back, but you know, if the heavy foil helps to keep that forward, and the best is a 9x9.
9x9, people, get one.
All right, now instead of just clumping it all in, here's another tip that I like to use. There's a spoon right here on the side, and so I like to just put in dabs. Go ahead and use a spoon, put in a dab. So it's around, and we're not trying to just squish all of this all at once into it. It just makes it a little bit harder to, especially
kind of
when
smooth it out.
Right. So that's a little tip, especially if you have it that it's lined. And then while you're putting that last part in, you can see how it's not quite smoothing, but it does have a tendency to even out in the pan itself.
And these are pretty nice and thick and gooey already. I mean, so they're not very liquidy. I mean, they're quite gooey.
Now, what do we do with that leftover toffee? We're going to put it here on the top.
What any good woman would do. She would put it on the top and then she would eat it.
Put it on. Okay, now this keeps that caramely flavor, that toffee flavor, and it just makes it a nice crunchy part to it without dissolving into the pan itself. All right, those bake for about a half hour. Okay, and
so half an hour, 350. Is that kind of the magic number?
You know, that's kind of the standard.
It is. I just always default to 350, but I don't know.
Why don't you pull that pan over here?
Okay.
Okay, now when you come out of the oven, leave them in the pan to completely cool. And then whether you're using foil or whether you're using the parchment paper, which I like, you know, you can just lift that out of the pan very easy.
Move that over.
Put it on the cutting board, peel that back. Now you can cut those into the nice squares and you have brownies, put it with a glass of milk.
So is it finally time that I get to taste these?
It is. You can have one.
I feel like you're playing a trick on me because I've been staring at these since
There you go. You tell me what you think. Brownies.
They're as good as they look.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. Thank you so much.
Bet.
We really appreciate it. Great treat. Use these on the weekends.